This is episode 2.5 of As this is episode 2.5, it's going to be a mini episode, so nothing fancy. So it is going to feature nothing but jump cuts. Episode 3 of Listen to This is on the way, however, a little bit slower than planned, but I've got 3 good reasons for that. Number 1, I'm still working on it. Number 2, I want to shoot something else this weekend. And finally, number 3, last weekend I was sick for a reason. And that reason is that I was fighting a bug of some nature. Also, 2.5, I came up with the idea, Sick for a Reason. It's also the name of a pretty sweet song by BS2000, a little known Beastie Boys side project from the late 90s, early 2000s. And to be specific, it's a side project of Ad Rock and former Suicidal Tendencies drummer Avery AWOL Smith. Sick for a Reason, it's track 2 from their second album, Simply Mortified, from the year 2000, and it's definitely a lesser known Beastie Boys side project, as I mentioned. I'd be surprised, unless you're like pretty big on the Beastie Boys, which I am, I'd be surprised if you know them, but they were together for a bit and toured for a little while and put out a couple albums on Grand Royal. Alright, BS2000's first album, the self-titled album, is basically both albums actually feature the EMU SP1200 sampler. However, the first album is basically just that. The review on AllMusic said that it's a pretty good album, but it's more for serious fans, and also it's a good album for DJs to have like in their bag for sampling, because it's basically a breakbeat album, you could say, like more or less. Whereas the Simply Mortified, their second album, that, like, as I mentioned, being more of a proper album that expanded and has way more to it, so it can be thoroughly enjoyed properly on its own. So yeah, that's about it for episode 2.5. I'm going to keep this one short, specifically as if potentially future episode of Listen to This, maybe I'd talk more about BS2000, you never know, because I'm a pretty big Beastie Boys fan, so that could definitely be a topic in of itself. One final tidbit of information about BS2000 and the fact that, mind the shakiness there. The album was actually mixed part by a fellow by the name of James Murphy, who would later go on to be in a band called LCD Sound System. So that's it for episode 2.5 of Listen to This. Stay tuned for episode 3 coming up in the coming weeks, and other video stuff in the meantime, including what I'm going to shoot this weekend, and hopefully I won't end up like this guy, falling head first. Alright, see you later. So according to the Wikipedia definition of jump cut, some of those cuts that you just previously witnessed are not in fact jump cuts. I apologize for the error. And with that error in mind, I think I have just given myself an idea for episode 3.5. With that error in mind, I'm talking to the camera.